eating that stick you had there, Simon.
Big pen.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
But you're watching me and Steve, starting to feel like you're missing out.
I'm just trying to get this banana down before it goes live on YouTube. Too late.
Too late.
Okay, so I guess we can start, can't we then?
Right,
So,
good evening, everybody.
Yeah, so welcome everybody to April's Sandymore Parish Council meeting. Before we start this evening, I just have a very short statement to make.
Just bear with me. Okay.
Okay, so the statement reads, the councillors and officers of Sandymore Parish Council are deeply saddened at the news of the death of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Our thoughts are with the royal family at this time. So we'll just observe a 1 minute silence before we start the meeting tonight. Okay, thank you everyone. So we can start as as planned. So the first agenda item is to record any apologies for absence.
I got a phone call about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago from PCSO, Debs Bromley. She's actually dealing with an incident in Runcorn. She's going to try and join us later, but at this moment in time, she is on duty and is dealing with a call.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of any members' interests.
I'd have a disclosable pecuniary interest in the school, should any topics around the school come up.
Okay, and I have a disclosable non-pecuniary interest in the school, should any items come up tonight. Okay, so item 3 was the police report, so we defer that till later on in case Deb can attend.
Yes,
If
please.
not, we'll come back to it at the end and see, see if there's a report. Okay, so item 4, public questions. Do we have any questions?
I've had a couple that have been received that I'll cover in my item 5, if I may, because they do cover what we discussed last week and a few of this week as well. So if you want to do the
can I ask, what was that relating to broadly, the things you'll be covering in item 5?
Well, it's just it's the local centre.
Okay.
And the questions and answers around there, and Hornborough Council. So it's around the guests that we had last week that was most of the questions.
Okay.
And I see we have a member of the public attending tonight. Mr. Johnson, do you have a question that you wish to raise this evening? Could
I just go and check something with my wife as well, because she said she had a question that she kind of like me to ask, but I think I'll see if she wants to come and ask
Okay.
it.
Can I just interject there for a moment with regard to the Deb Bromley point that if she probably won't attend. There's been a significant amount of discussion this week on Facebook regarding the teenage contingent in the parks, causing a lot of upset to parents and young children by, really bad behaviour, extremely bad language, pouring drinks and food down the slide so the kids can't use them. Basically, pretty antisocial behaviour. And I'm just, I'd like to raise it because we're going to ask Deb Bromley, but would you please talk to her, Bernadette, and ask what can be done? I mean, I'm not expecting her to go on to the parks to, see to them herself, but I think that there needs to be a better police presence and these things need to be sorted out. You've probably seen it on Facebook, but there's a lot of
It's
unhappy...
in the correspondence, Steve.
Right.
I've got quite a bit of it in the correspondence, so I'll be able to go into a bit more detail on that during the correspondence.
Okay, and the actions accordingly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so could you ask her a question as well? It sounds like it's overlaps quite a bit with what Steve was sounded like he was talking about, but go ahead as well.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask, it is following on from what I guess you were discussing already, but is there a possibility to provide some other area of focus for young people to go in the Sandymore area, even another set of swings or another sort of recreational area would be helpful, just somewhere for them to focus their energies so that they're not always seeing the play area as the main area to hang out, because what seems to be the issue is that they're not always intimidating and they're not always rude. In many cases it is just a case of teenagers gathering together and having nowhere else really to go and wanting to hang out in a group, and for whatever reason they choose the play area and that space to do it. And it does feel it feels like we can't, as parents with younger children, we can't always use the space in the way that we want to, without making them feel unwelcome as well. So it would be nice if they had another area of focus, and somewhere like, something like a gym, sort of outdoor gym, or another set of swings or something, somewhere else for them to go, really. So it's just something to think about, and whether anything can come of it, I don't know, but
We've been petitioning
that.
for a while. We got a letter in from a youngster some years ago about a skate park, but actually just some form of development, whether that's fitness equipment down the sunflower path, or whether that's something on the village green to occupy people differently, so they don't all compete over the same thing. I think that'd be brilliant. And that's certainly on my wish list to do. And a number of
We
others
do
have
certainly
expressed
have a number of issues around that people should be aware of. Firstly, we did discuss this in the meeting last month, and so some of the answers will be on the YouTube that everyone is available to watch, and that's why I'm very for YouTube, because if anyone wants to know, rather than sending in, I've had 72 emails today on the same issue. So if we can all get together and come out with this one message, that it can go on YouTube, that we can let people read. There's a few issues surrounding any development in Sandymore. First of all, a lot of the area belongs to Halton Borough Council. You cannot just build on somebody else's land. You do need their permission. So that's
Apart from when it's our land and they put a planning request in to build on our land, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Other than that.
But that would be the first point, that a lot of the open space in Sandymore belongs to Halton Borough Council. That doesn't mean that myself and Adam specifically haven't fought for years and years to get funding, to get work done on the village green or whatever we're naming it. It's a very difficult situation because, first of all, there's the funding that has to be put in place. Second of all, where it's going to go, where the funding's going to go. One of the things that we've come up with is that we will be doing a consultation with residents July or August when we're able to do so, because we have been putting plans in place of what can and can't be done. We have been looking at where we can get funding from, and so we can't. It takes years of getting that far. It takes years of getting Halton to agree to it. It takes years of getting the funding to agree to it. It then takes years of the residents agreeing that that's what they want. When we look at this week, that with the youths and the youths misbehaving this week, it's half term. We're in lockdown. Children, teenage children, should be in no more than 6. We should not be having the children jumping all over children's equipment. I've had a lot of abuse. I was out at 7:30 this morning cleaning up part of the abuse, so I'm more than aware of it. And it's not been the first time; it has been for a number of years. Now the hall has clubs going. The school has a tremendous number of clubs going that these children choose not to attend. These children choose to set fire to the flooring, and this needs to be addressed as much as putting in new equipment. If we put new equipment in and the same happens again, that equipment's got to be paid for. The damage that's being done now has got to be paid for. And so, you know, the litter being dropped, the damage being caused, the library being ripped off the wall, are all things that are being done, but not because there's nowhere for them specifically to go, because there are clubs. It's the choice of the children that are not using those clubs. Now, Tom did a consultation with the school. I think it was about 3 years ago now, Tom, wasn't it? And he asked the kids what they wanted. And apart from a skate park, there was pretty much not a lot else. Now, we still have that consultation. It is something that we put into the plans when we were looking at them with Halton Borough Council, but it's got to be something that works for everybody. It can't be something that works for youths. It can't be something that is in the annoyance of residents. So it has to be done as a consultation. So in doing that, there's a great deal of work that is involved in getting that off the ground. And that doesn't mean that we're not trying, because believe me, we are trying to get all of that information, all of those plans together so we can then hold a consultation. Now, Paul,
Bernadette, sorry to interrupt. But one of the things that perhaps might be useful for us to think about as a council is to not just think about funding and also antisocial behaviour, but maybe go back to the school directly and ask them if they can incorporate into their curriculum somewhere some discussions around, how to improve the area that they live in. Interestingly, about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, started going out on a morning with my wife, just doing a bit of litter picking. And it's got to the stage where on a daily basis, we're picking up 3 to 5 carrier bags full of rubbish every single day. And that's just walking from my house within a 15-minute, area. And that's just crazy. Now, again, it's not just the kids that are doing it. There's a lot of people just throwing rubbish out the windows. But particularly around the park areas, it's lots of sweet wrappers and pop bottles and the like. So, I don't. It could well be that that they haven't got a place to go, or they have got a place to go, but unfortunately, the behaviour is just not that good. And
I think there's some disillusionment there as well, because the 8-year-old who wrote to us turns 18 this year.
Yeah.
That's how long we've sat on it and not delivered, and we should be a bit ashamed of that. To be honest, I am.
I don't think we've not delivered. I think we've not been able
Where
to
is it
deliver.
Then? We've not delivered. There's no difference in the facilities. The ones we have barely had a refresh in that time. So I think that's something we do need to reflect on as a council. But
I think with the meeting with Paul Wright last week, he's on our side. He's looking to do more for us. Both him and Lane End Developments are looking to come together to create something that is useful and joins the two areas up for when Lane Ends finishes their development. So if we can get the consultation out July, August of this year, then we can start getting in place what is something that's going to be useful and take it forward from there. So it's not something I feel I've sat back on and done nothing.
I'm not doing it as a personal criticism of you, Bernie.
No.
I'm not looking for a defensive answer on it. I'm just saying, as a council, we had a resident of Sandymore request in 2013 a skate park, and we've done a consultation again. Tom has, that said, "What do you want? We want a skate park." I mean, we've
and a climbing boulder and an outdoor gym.
Yeah,
well.
and all of those things would be wonderful, but we've not delivered upon them. And we're arguing over the money with Holton. I'm not dealing it as a personal criticism. Please don't take it that way. But I think we probably need to reflect on that a little bit and say, what do we want to happen?
And also, I think, Adam, probably moving forwards, similar to the local centre, it will be less excusable if nothing is done about it in the next few years as well and going forward, because at least previously there might have been, people could have maybe said as a reason that there's a relatively low population in Sandymore, so the Borough Council might want to invest in other areas that have people surrounding whatever facility they'd be building. But if something was built in the centre of Sandymore now, it'll have just as many people around it as anything built anywhere else in Runcorn.
Yeah.
There isn't any reason why things should be built somewhere else and not built here.
No. When you look at the big parts like Town Park and Phoenix Park, this is the monies that we can now tap into, and it's something once Halton Borough Council has finished off those sites, they can then move on to ourselves, and we can put plans together and we can get this consultation going. And it's something that can be done within 18 months. So as the local centre is being completed, so can all these changes, these added, be ready for Sandymore. We need to get those consultations in, but as soon as the restrictions are lifted, then there's no reason why we can't get the residents, obviously safely, to look at consultations, to see what they want, to see what they still want, and to move forward from that, and then put those plans in place.
Okay. So I think the plan that we should have, I mean, the council changes next month anyway, but one of the first, action items for the new council should be to consider, what we can do with a view to running a public consultation as soon as possible.
Yeah.
In the new council year. There are, various routes to take there, I feel. We've got the village green, which is owned by Holton, and we would need some understanding from them. There are other areas of public open space, of course, that Sandymore Parish Council owns. I'm thinking of the region around the Balancing Lake and adjacent to Swans Reach. There's a huge field there that something could be done on. We're the owner. Maybe there's something there. The precept could cover some of the cost, and we leverage funding from elsewhere. So there's a range of things we can do.
Yeah.
And I think we should take on board, residents' comments, questions. Adam makes a valid point, that we should get into more of a proactive mode going forward. Over the last few years, we've been a bit reactive to the various housing developments that are going on around the place. We're much better at that now, so it should leave us some more time to tackle other issues, I hope.
Ideal time.
Yeah.
Just to let Steve know that the PCSO does go into Sandymore School and does assemblies with them around respect, litter, the environment they live in, and those sort of things. So that is something that the PCSO and the school do work together with. But I must stress, if there's anything antisocial, the residents must ring the police. If it's antisocial, it's a police, whether they send police or PCSO, it needs to be dealt with at that level and not Facebook level, because it's fine, telling us about it, and we can do all that we can. But if the police and the PCSO don't know about it there and then they can't do anything about it, because they don't know who it is. They don't know who's doing this. And so I would urge anyone that sees any antisocial behaviour to ring the police.
Okay, so does that answer your wife's question, Tom?
Yes.
Excellent. Any more questions? No. Okay. So, I mean, I guess that moves on a little bit, Bernadette, to item 5, which is correspondence received by the clerk. You mentioned you had 70 something emails about this issue.
All about the issue. I was out at 7:30 clearing up some of the issue, cleaning particularly the small site up near Wisbech, which I was surprised at the amount of damage that's been done. The flooring there has been burnt, and so there's a lot of holes, a lot of fire damage to that will need to be replaced. That's all been reported to Holton Borough Council, so hopefully within a day or two they will get someone out to fix that. There was a lot of graffiti, litter, etc. at the Double Park. Again, that was cleaned up. I cleaned that up, as well as the slides. So it is all now clear, COVID safe, clean equipment as of this morning.
Well, thank you for doing that, Bernadette. I mean, it's not part of your role, of course.
No, but
to do make sure that you look after yourself if you do stuff like that.
Absolutely. One of the things that we touched on briefly is the role of the parish council from the 7th of May is that we revert back to face-to-face meetings. I've had correspondence with Chalk, Nalk, and also John Bradshaw at Halton Borough Council, advising that, you know, this is against the government's advice as well as anything else. So I don't know what your feelings are. Do you want to vote on who wants to go back to face-to-face, who think it's a good idea?
Well, I think if we defer that decision to item 11 on the agenda next meeting, but to let councillors have a think about it in the meantime.
Yeah, sorry, can I just be clear that as I understand it, after sometime in May, we revert to the laws as they were, which means that we have to meet, i.e., be present in person,
Yes.
under all sorts of definitions. So I would hope and expect that the government will revise that at some point, and unless until they do, it's beyond our powers to decide we're not going to meet. We're going to meet over Zoom, because if we decide that, then in fact we're not under the law not meeting. I don't. Has anybody heard anything?
As of this morning, there have been no decision one way or the other. No decision.
No, I know there's been no decision, but there hasn't been even any indication that a decision is imminent or being reviewed or so on.
The local government association has put a release out to say that the decision on whether to extend those provisions within the Coronavirus Act won't be taken before May. So we're not going to know until reasonably soon before the meeting. The one bit I'm not clear on is actually, could we as a council pull a very quick risk assessment? And if more than, if we're not going to be able to be quorate because our councillors cannot attend in person, that would give us a bit of a, I suppose, weight to make a decision, or gravitas to make a decision that says, actually, we're not going to meet in public. This is why, because we wouldn't be quorate if we were to do so. So the only way we can remain functional is by doing this. Now we'll need advice. Probably Chalk is probably the right place to take that advice. But that's certainly where I'd be minded to be going.
We will not be alone. We will be. Yeah, quite the contrary. There will be hundreds of councils in exactly the same position, and I would hope and assume that Chalk would be giving us all, all the parish councils and all. I mean, this will also apply to Halton Borough Council, the higher level councils too. So, I mean, it does seem extraordinary to me if they aren't going to make a decision or make an announcement until May. I mean, I would have thought it was a no-brainer, to be quite frank, to extend it for at least 3 months, but they seem to be dithering. But as I say,
I wonder,
it's not just us. Sorry,
would we even be able to find somewhere that we'd be able to use for the meeting that would be able to accommodate us at that time, like previously we were using the school?
Yeah, and it's not just us, it's to host a public meeting, which is different than the closed group.
Until until June the 21st, I'm not even sure we'd be legally allowed to do exactly that, hosting a public meeting.
No, exactly, and that's exactly the point that I've put across.
Yeah, we do need to reflect. Our last YouTube video had north of 70 views. They tend to average around between 60 and 70 somewhere. So actually, arguably, we've made ourselves far more accessible than we used to be when we were face to face, which is a positive thing. And we don't have the facilities to broadcast an in-room meeting on YouTube. That would need a whole video conferencing suite of stuff, which, although it would be fun to build, it would be costly to build as well.
I quite fancy that idea. So moving on from that, because at this moment in time we cannot do anything about that until we know what their plans are. One of the discussions we had last week with Lane Ends was that not all the spaces have been allocated. Okay, so there are spaces that have not been allocated that residents can contact Lane Ends, and I'll give you an email address in a minute, can contact Lane Ends to say that they are interested in. It cannot be a fast food place because that has already been allocated. Okay, so the person to contact is Scott Ashall, and his email address is Scott A, and that's spelt SCOTTA at laneend, all one word, .org. So is there if there's any of our residents who are looking for a unit, there are units that are not allocated at this moment in time.
In the local centre development.
In the local
Just to
centre
clarify that,
development.
yeah, actually haven't mentioned the
Yeah,
local centre
yeah. In the local centre development.
And the only thing you can't have is a fast food.
Correct.
Right.
You can't have a fast food.
There's
And
room
the-
for one, isn't there? Hot food takeaway, there's one unit.
There is. And the bigger unit has gone. So it's not the bigger unit we're looking at, because there's four the same size of them, one bigger. So it's one of the four or two of the four of the smaller sized ones, but they are available.
Bernadette, just to help anyone that might be listening in for this, then what is the planning which is available for those units then?
Well, the planning for those units.
If it's not hot food, if it's not hot food, what's it planned for then? Has it got what consent it has?
It's on the planning application. It's A1, 2, and 3 from memory, but please double check that.
Okay. I had a chat with Paul right after the meeting, which I said I would do, with regards to a few things, one being working together with the local centre, and he is very keen to work with the local centre, and the local centre are very keen to work with Halton Borough Council. So when we're looking at what we want to do in that area, then the three of our groups could do with getting together and having that consultation. But yeah, all three are very interested in working together on that. And Paul suggested consultation to start July, August 2021 with regards to any consultation we might have on Sandymore. There's a brick-built street sign, Lady Rochelle, which is broken. That's been reported to Halton Borough Council. When it was reported, Halton Borough Council said they would take it down and put up one of these metal cheap things that they're putting up in the street. And I said, no, it needs to be like for like. So that is a delay on that. So we're just waiting for that to be rebuilt. There's been a new bridge installed opposite Keckwick Brook. I have asked the Public Open Space to have a look at it. I don't particularly think it's been put into the best of their ability. So they're going to re-look at that for us.
Which one's this, Bernadette? Is that the one
behind Bernadette's house?
Yeah, the back of the playing fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with it? I've only run over it, Bernadette. So I've not stopped to look. Is there a problem with it?
Stop and look at each end.
Right.
Because it's not been sort of my standard would be that it had been finished off at either end, so you're not going to get dangerous points where A, people could go into the brook, or B, it just bits of wood that stick out. So they're going to have a look at it anyway, because they're going to replace another bridge. So it's just going to have a look and see if there's anything that they can do to join it up a bit better, I think.
I think the issue is, apart from slight trip hazard for people like me, when you get onto the bridge,
yeah,
not sprightly as you, John, but I think the other bit is little kids that easily slip through the gaps between the balustrade and the sides into the brook.
Yeah.
And whilst it's not deep, you could have a bit of an accident. And I think that, maybe it could have been slightly better built than it has been. But I mean, it is better than it was. At least there's not really great big gaps in it.
Yeah.
The flooring of it is, as I say, the only thing I noticed when I ran across it, it's quite nice and solid and rubbery. I didn't notice it, but if there are sort of steps or gaps at the ends that people could trip on, that shouldn't be there.
No. So I've asked them to relook at that.
Good.
Pond on Rudd Heath. There was a couple of emails I received with regards to silt and debris that have been removed from the pond and just left on the side. Unfortunately, this is something they do when they dredge a pond. They leave everything on the debris on the side, so any animals that are in it can crawl back into the water, etc. It had then been overlooked, so it hadn't been cleared up. That has now been cleared up. It was cleared up last week. Speeding issues, yet again. People are still saying that there aren't enough signs down roads saying 30 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. We know what the speed limit is. We need to look at the next meeting, taking that step further with the volunteer guns, but not real guns, traffic guns, and seeing if we can get enough volunteers to stand by the side of the road. So that's that one. Homes England. They will continue to cut the grass at Carmington Lane. This has been an issue because, first of all, they said it wasn't their land, and then it was Morris land, then it was our land. They've agreed it's their land and they're going to maintain it, but it is a part of land they're going to dispose of. They have asked us to take it on without a dowry, but knocking that back to them, they've said, well, if we don't take it on with a dowry, it will be disposed of to somebody else. So that's another argument with Homes England that we need to take on board. They have also suggested coming to a meeting in June. So they're quite interested to come to the Parish Council meeting in June to give us an update on where everything's up to. And so if you're all happy with that, I will invite them for June.
Have we heard any more from Bloor Homes? Because that guy was going to come back and tell us all about this new road onto Keckwick Lane that was up to adoptable standards but had an emergency access for the first week, and then became a public road. So when are we going to hear from them?
It's still been ongoing with planning and trying to, because that wasn't the only deviation that planning wanted to do to site 2. So it's still with planning. Some further plans have gone in to see if they would be suitable for the planning committee, and they're due to be released to me on Tuesday of next week. So as soon as I've got those, I will send those round.
Do we get the chance to comment on that to the council, or is it just a foregone conclusion?
Well, it's if I'm being truthful, I'm not sure, because it's been to committee. and it's been agreed.
And then they
I
made
think
changes.
I think a comment. I think we could do a comment to planning, and I think that would probably be a good idea once we've seen the plans to actually comment.
I don't understand. You see, I probably need educating on this, but if it's been to planning and it was passed, and the public had the chance to make their comments known, how come they can come back then and add a road in afterwards, or a substation or whatever, without public having been able to comment? I don't understand how that works.
No. I will get the answer for you, Steve, because I don't know. I planning, although I've been on some training courses, seems to be, planning seems to be planning. They do.
So you can do what's called a non-material planning change, if you like, and that normally doesn't trigger the same consultation because it's deemed as non-material.
Yeah, this was actually, they wanted to put an emergency road in, Colin. Were you at that meeting? I can't remember.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll depend on whether there's been a planning application put in for it. They'll give you the detail. So if they're putting another road in, there should be a planning application in, but it may be one that wasn't put out to consultation, is my point. So it might have been slipped in through the back door.
Yeah,
but it was planning telling them, not the other way around.
I think it's not a requested amendment to a planning application. So the planning authority actually said you need an emergency road because it's not safe. So it would turn up as an amended plan within the application somewhere, is my understanding, but I've not seen that one.
No.
Okay, maybe we could have a look at, Bernadette.
I'll investigate that further.
It just always seems that they go a bit quiet, don't they? And it usually means that then we get delivered a fait accompli that nothing can be changed.
Yeah.
And I think there's some serious safety concerns that Halton Borough Council really need to take on board with what they were proposing.
Yeah. I'll certainly follow that one up. Unfortunately, Homes England have not been able to come to any agreement with Morris or Barrett David Wilson with respect to the POS maintenance. So as far as HE are involved, then it is down to Morris and Barrett David Wilson to sort out. And then they would be more than happy to provide a briefing and attend the parish council meeting in June.
Good.
That's me.
Can we in advance of that then, though, would it be appropriate for us to circulate thoughts and ideas in advance of that, so we're not reacting at the meeting to what they may or may not say, and be maybe a bit more proactive to try and get a better understanding of how we can try and resolve some of these matters? Because the longer these things go on, again, the more dissatisfied residents get that things aren't being dealt with in a cohesive manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether they're intending to put an agenda together for the meeting or whether they expect me to put an agenda together, I will check on that. And then one way or the other, we can.
Absolutely, we should ask them to send us their agenda,
yeah,
and then circulate it around the council.
Yeah.
And then we should coordinate back with you to make sure that we have that in place for the things we want to discuss.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we should discuss and prepare in advance, because there's no doubt at all they will.
Yes, of course, 100%. And I think we really need to. I don't think we've got a bad relationship with Homes England. I think that it's an opportunity to improve on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Over to you then, Bernadette.
Oh, Simon, your turn.
Okay, so that completes correspondence to the clerk.
It does.
Good.
Simon, sorry to interrupt. May I just make one point at this juncture? Would it be possible going forward, Bernadette, that the rest of the council can have a summary of the correspondence that you've received, so that rather than sitting here and reacting to what you're saying, we can have time to consider it? Would that be okay?
Yeah, most of the time I do that. I'm having a few issues with my laptop, which Adam is going to help me with. But most of the time, if you're looking correspondence for that month, all the correspondence are in there, plus a summary of the correspondence. So I'll just add it to the link that I send you out each month. But
yeah, simple
it is in that.
crib sheet would be really good. I'm sure,
Yeah.
I don't know what everyone else feels, but a crib sheet pointing out those things which are the topics, and then we can each, if we want to, individually drill down into the correspondence to pick up on that. I just think that would be really good if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, no,
particularly.
It is already done, so I'll just add it to the list for you to link into.
How many of these 76 ones you got this month were you planning on putting in that folder?
Well, to be honest, the 76 ones all arrived last night and today.
Okay.
So none of them could be included in today's anyway, because the agenda is that any questions need to be in by the Tuesday prior.
So they have to go in the one for next one.
But they will be in the one.
Are you able to make a subfolder in that thing? Just because I'd be interested in seeing like many of the 76 ones, and I guess they could go in there. But
yes,
also,
I will do that for you.
The next month will get lost among them.
I will do that for you, and you can have a read.
Okay. So we move on then to item 6, which is planning applications. So there's 2 planning applications to consider, one in Durham Way and the other Magna Park. I think both are house extensions of one form or another. I had a quick look at them and no comments to make. Fine.
No, fine to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So item 7 then, to look at the minutes from the last meeting and to sign them as a true record. I wasn't actually at the meeting, so Adam, do you want to take over this item?
Yeah, I can do. I mean, I've noticed one error in the nature of my interest. My interest is pecuniary, not non-pecuniary, so that just needs correcting on first page in part A.
Okie doke.
Other than that, I see no issue. Does anyone else who was present have any issues?
Nothing I noticed.
So with that amendment, I'm happy to propose them.
I noticed you emphasised the word pecuniary right at the start when you were declaring it. I wondered why you were.
It's me getting the terminology right. It's not emphasising it.
I thought you were emphasising that because it was wrong last time. I hadn't noticed that.
No, I'd noticed that was wrong after I'd made that statement earlier.
Okay. There you go. So much for my
are you
clever
okay
deduction.
to sign that, Simon, and cross through pecuniary?
Cross through non.
I don't think I can sign the minutes if we've not been there.
All right, okay.
You can. You're signing them as the chair of this meeting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that then. No problem.
Bernadette, as we've covered off the correspondence received by you with regard to the point on the minutes about the funding available on the incinerator fund, does that not come to you?
The money for the incinerator fund is the money that I was talking about with Paul Wright, and whether we can get the work done through using the incinerator fund. The incinerator fund is made up of monies that per tonne of waste that goes in the incinerator they have to pay X amount. But then the council has to do the work, if you like, so that we will discuss it with the council. The council will then put in for the incinerator fund, and that's how it works. It's not a one lot goes in and that's it.
So as per the minutes, then, did John Bradshaw send you the information that he promised he would?
John Bradshaw sent me an A4 piece of paper that says there is an incinerator fund, and he did send. Sorry?
We knew that, though, didn't we? That's why he said he was going to send you the details of the money that was available for us from the incinerator fund. Has he done that?
It's sent a form that says there's an incinerator form, and within that form there was a sheet of what had been allocated for out of that fund. So if you're thinking of the town hall, Phoenix Park, and the other environmental parts around Runcorn, Halton, that's what it's been used for. That information came from Paul Wright, and it's Paul Wright that said that that is the money that they were looking at earmarking for the roles that we are looking for in Sandymore.
When do you think that we will be able to narrow it down so we can understand what that means for Sandymore?
Well, what it means is that we've just got to get Sandymoreans, Sandymore residents to agree on the consultation. As I say, Adam and I have already started plans a few years ago at what things could be done. Tom's done the consultation with the school. If we get the consultation done with the residents, July and August, then what happens is Halton Council just put into INEOS, this is the amount we need, this is what we're going to do, and it's hopefully a tick box exercise from there.
We probably could do with, I don't know if anyone else feels the same, maybe getting some flesh on the bones of that. Perhaps we could maybe take that one offline and get our ideas together. What do you think, team?
Yes, I think so. Also, just on the point though, I know where you said about it nearer the beginning of the meeting, where you were saying about want to set up something that works for everyone. I think we should separate out though, like having something, if we're putting something there that's, say, for the teenagers, something that's there for the people like in middle age, and something that's there for the older people, then that would be what I would see as being setting up something for everyone, rather than saying, well, the people in their 70s don't want a skate park, that doesn't work for them, so we won't have a skate park. The 15-year-olds don't want a bowling green, so we won't have a bowling green.
Yeah.
Then that, like, we want to have a thing that will work for the teenagers, a thing that will work for the people, the middle-aged people, a thing that will work for the elderly people.
Yeah, that's what the consultation will look at, and that's what the final plan will be made up of. The consultation of what the residents have actually said that they want. We've also got to think that those who live right next to a piece of grass won't want a skateboard right outside their front door. So there might be a few amendments, but it's the consultation that will decide on that.
You know, you think the village green is there as a public open space or a space for the public to use. So it seems quite an obvious place to me to put it. And that's certainly where the discussion was going, is about what could we do there. And that was putting all of those things, you know, it was putting, I think the original very, very brief outline proposal was an outdoor basketball kit, multi-game area. It had a bowling green on there. It had a street snooker, which is a football wall. I don't know why snooker's involved, but it is. A climbing wall and cafe type thing, wasn't there? There was
Yeah,
lots
a
of
table tennis.
different things. Oh yeah, concrete table tennis stuff as well.
Concrete table tennis, which I think is
Well,
fabulous.
all of which I would use, Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, one-handed on the climbing wall, I know.
I wouldn't do the climbing wall, but apart from that, yeah. So yeah, that will be all part of the consultation.
Brilliant. Okay, so we move on to item 8 then, which is parish council finances. So the summary for the last month, we had no receipts. We have various payments to make. We have general payments, but actually total £3,186.25 now. So that includes Chalk association costs for 21-22. We've got Bernadette's salary and associated HMRC costs. We've got a payment to Zeno for website maintenance and a 2-year domain fee that allows us to keep our domain address, I guess.
That only came in this afternoon and it's dated. Simon's got it, so it's dated today. It only came in this afternoon. But if we leave it till next month, it's going over the length of time they give you to sign up for the domain thing, which is why I've brought it to this meeting.
That's a cost of £133 for a 2-year period. So what's that? Just under £70 a month. Yeah, sorry. And then there's a payment to Microsoft for our Office 365 subscription as usual. So councillors are happy with those payments. I can sign the form for that, Bernadette.
What about the other sheet that had the OAT payments?
Yeah,
for...
the other sheet I will have to declare an interest in because this is payments to the school regarding the playing field contract. So Adam would have the same issue.
Yeah.
Do you want to lead the discussion on this side then, Colin, if I dip out at this stage?
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, finish off what you were doing with the.
Okay, I'll just quickly finish off the broad finance things then, notwithstanding the OAT payment. That would leave us a balance on the precept of £62,805.21. That's as of the 31st of March this year. And the precept and playing field fund amounts, the public open space fund amounts to £60,635.11. Those closing balances actually can then be used for internal audit purposes. So we have to fill in an annual governance and accountability return for 21-20, which then goes to internal audit, I believe, Bernadette, for
It does.
their comments and checks. So there is that document is actually in the finance folder of SharePoint. From memory, it was under 2021 folder.
Yeah, that's correct.
What it shows is our balance brought forward, or balances brought forward for last year and this year, and our ending balances for last year and this year as well. So I've had a look at that, and the balances all tally with the worksheet in SharePoint, and I think Bernadette circulated the worksheet and a copy of this to all councillors a couple of days ago, I think, from memory.
Yeah, it basically shows the opening and closing balance, what's been paid out on salary and what's been paid out on everything else. It also involves the asset list and also now a investment list, which was something that we've not needed to use up until this year because of the playing field. And so this was I discussed this with Chalk's accountant, and this was the best way to show it, because although there's money coming in, it's then going straight out. So it's not money, it's just investment. So it's more of figure counting than actual cash. So on the asset register, we've got all the assets. Underneath that is the investments, and we'll update that on an annual basis.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get comments back if that's incorrect from internal audit before it goes public.
Correct.
Okay. Great. So then I think that leaves then the discussion on the playing field invoice. So if I hand over to Colin for this.
So are we all approving those payments then? I don't have any problems with them.
Yeah, these were ones that we discussed at the meeting earlier this week, and yeah, as your last signature, we would like you to authorize them. Just with regards to that, because now the bank and CCLA, unfortunately, for those that don't know, Colin isn't coming back from May. His business has taken off too well. We want him back. So after tonight, Colin will not be able to sign off any payments.
Do you know who's taking over?
Yes, at the moment, Simon will be taking over. Now, obviously, Simon cannot sign anything for the school, so Steve will also be a signature, an authorised signatory in the first instance. Now, the bank are very long-winded, and when you come to leave, I have to get you, Colin, to sign that you are leaving.
Yeah.
It's so I will start that paperwork, give that to you. The reason I set Simon up was A, he's part of the finance group, but B, he's already down as a signatory, so he only needed a fob to be able for him to take over from yourself.
Have you got a fob, Simon?
Yeah, he's got a fob. Yeah.
Do you know how to do it?
I've not done it yet, but it looks fairly straightforward.
Do you want to share screens with me, and I'll show you how to do it after this?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we could do that at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and can I thank you for all your hard work that you've put in while you've been here. You've been invaluable, and yeah, you will be very sadly missed.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. One thing that we haven't mentioned there is I've put a VAT reclaim in for last year, and that was £2,954.11. So hopefully that will be coming back to us in the near future, and our precept has already gone into the bank.
So are we all approving those first changes you just went through, Simon, those invoices?
I think on the precept side of things, yes, we still
okay.
you still need to have the discussion on the.
So the other four entries were 4 payments to OAT. What does that stand for?
It's Ormiston Academy. It's the school, and it's
stuff. That's it, isn't it? So this is maintenance playing field.
Correct. we should have been getting these on a quarterly basis. Unfortunately, the address on note for Sandymore Parish Council is Sandymore School, and as I've not been in for 12 months, I hadn't received those invoices.
Right. Okay. So we've been getting money for the sink fund, haven't we? And then this is what we pay back to them for the maintenance.
Correct.
Okay. So is it right that it comes out of precept?
It's come out of precept at the moment because we've transferred the money from the POS into CCLA, but the 5,000 that is that the school should have paid at the end of the month, and the 3,000 of the VAT, and then taking the VAT off what they've charged us, will then cover that POS payment out of precept.
Okay, so it's 4 payments of £2,963.75
Correct.
plus the VAT to make £3,556.75 for a total of £14,227.
Yes.
Is that 11,855 without
It
VAT?
is.
Right.
I've
so
checked it, yeah.
that's as per the SUA.
Yeah.
So if Simon and Adam cannot approve this, I guess it's down to me to propose that we do this. Are we happy with that, Steve, Tom and John?
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, you've gone.
Cool.
Indicate me not taking part.
Oh, sorry.
So the ayes have it by the looks of it. Okay, so are these set up as payments as well, Bernie?
They're all set up as payments, yeah.
Okay. When do you want to get together to organise this, Simon? Do you want to do it straight after this or another time?
Can we do it another time? I'm a bit busy after this. But,
Sure. Just if you let me know your time.
Maybe,
yeah.
Okay. I'll send you a meeting request.
Okay.
Monday, is that any good?
It might be the weekend, to be honest. Tomorrow is completely chocker.
Oh,
and if you
Sunday.
want to do first thing in like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, I can do.
I'll be at work.
Well, why? I can always show you how to do it anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'll find out from Bernadette.
Colin,
yeah.
you just authorise them this time.
Okay.
I'll fill it out, the co-op form, and start sending that round to everybody, because everybody's got to sign that. And then when it comes to the next month, I can show Simon how to do it.
You have to do a bulk authorization, so you'd have to do them one by one.
Yeah, because and he wouldn't be able to do the out ones anyway.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Colin. So I think that covers off the finance section of the agenda. So on to item 9. Any further actions on your action plan, Bernadette, or any urgent items that may have come up?
The financial regulations.
Okay.
It was decided that section 11.4 contracts would go back in, because all contracts, Colin, I'll tell you, but you'll not be interested now anyway, because you're leaving us. The figure that we put in of £1,000, anything that came in that was going to cost £1,000 or more needs to go on to a tender register, which is held with the government. It's the government tender register. And so the reason for the amount being higher for tenders was so you wouldn't end up with doing a tender for everything that was for more than £1,000. So that is why it was down to the contract being higher. So only higher tenders went on that tender form.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, if I'm honest.
It didn't to me either. The government have a tender process, and that tender process is anything over 20,000 normally on a parish council. If you needed to tender, you could tender elsewhere as well, but you also need to tender onto this tender document. It's something I wasn't aware of, and as soon as I was made aware of it, that's why the auditor was saying anything over £1,000 would need to go onto this tender document. And it doesn't mean you have to pick people off the tender document to do the work, but it means it has to be on that document. So it's just another process that.
So that means every contract we want to place or an invoice above £1,000, we have to record on this in this documentation.
Correct.
Go and then still go through the tender process as per our regulations.
Yeah.
We could do with having a sort of a tender guide or a working with us guide, couldn't we? So that all of those things are really clear. If anyone's wondering how they do put themselves forward for a piece of work that we may have, they can easily access it. So that feels like a website page to build, doesn't it?
There's this document that is quite a lengthy document, and it is called the Governance of Accountability for Local Councils. It is actually on our shared drive, and it does actually go into contracts. Long-winded as usual, but that is on there as well. But yeah, certainly it's worth having a chat about.
Which folder is that in on SharePoint? Do you remember, Bernadette?
No, I think it's under NALC, so that'd be under the governance, I think, but I'm not 100%. I'll check that out.
So I'm just checking the changes we made. I don't know why I'm having this argument again. This is the fourth time we've had this conversation now.
Oh, yeah.
We reduced it from 60,000 down to 1,000 that we wanted to get 3 tenders for. Why are they objecting to that?
Because when you reduce it down to 1,000, it needs to go on this government website, and you can't just apply for 3 tenders from local people. It has to go on the government website as well as however else you want to announce it.
Okay. I don't think we have a choice, do we, in the matter?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that's in our modified financial regulations then now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I guess before we go on to item 10, which was any other business, we could circle back just up to the police report. It doesn't look like the PCS will be able to attend tonight, which is understandable. They're busy with something else. Are there any other matters to consider on that agenda item?
No, she hasn't sent me a report. I've sent her the messages that were coming through on Facebook with regards to the youths and the antisocial behaviour, and she has attended some of the parks during the last week or so, because I said it's mostly late afternoon, tea time-ish. So she has done some run-throughs, but she hasn't done me a report.
Maybe we should ask for, some sort of formal feedback for the May meeting on that particular issue.
Definitely.
Hopefully we'll see an improvement in the situation.
Yeah. And also whether she's attending.
Yeah. Okay, so any other business, item 10? The only thing I would like to say again is just to reiterate our thanks to Colin for his sterling service on the parish council over the last few years. Sad to see you go. Hopefully the rest of us will be back again in May, all being well. There will be
a couple of new faces as well, which is pleasant.
Yes.
Thanks, Ryan.
No, thank you, Colin. I echo that. You've been an absolute asset.
That's your fault.
Yeah,
I'm here.
cheers,
Was it?
Colin. Well done. All the best to you. Keep in touch.
Keep in
You
touch.
can
Yeah.
still change your mind. You still have a space.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, well, keep
God
it,
loves to
yeah,
try
definitely
it.
keep in touch and certainly interact with us in
Yeah.
your new capacity as a resident.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah. And good luck in all that you do. And I know you'll be fantastic and successful in everything you do. So all the very best.
Thank you.
But you will be missed.
Okay, and then the final item on the agenda is the date of our next meeting, which is I guess it's a Thursday, the 20th of May. That meeting will start slightly earlier than normal. It will be a 6:50 p.m. start, and that is so we can hold the AGM prior to the parish council meeting, which again will start hopefully at 7 p.m. Although if the AGM runs over, it may be slightly delayed. Members of the public are welcome to attend both the AGM and the full parish council meeting as usual.
What time did you say again, Simon? What time?
6:50, 10 to 7.
Oh, 10 to 7.
Would it be worth us holding a very brief briefing meeting with the new councillors? Because there's an awful lot of stuff that we know, we know what we've taken control of, and that might be helpful to them ahead of the first meeting. So do we want to ask Bernadette to sort out a suitable time and date with them and us?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea, and then the
Yeah.
feed and can contribute to the first meeting.
And just to
Yeah.
be clear for all the public, there won't be any decisions. It won't be anything other than an informational briefing for new councillors elected. So it's not a meeting; it's a briefing.
Yeah, and I guess for members of the public, we may be talking a bit double Dutch here, but for the May election of parish councillors, Sandymore this time was uncontested. We have eight councillor positions, and we only had 7 applications this time around. So the 7 applicants will be informed, or are being informed, that they will be elected as a Sandymore Parish Councillor without election. It's an uncontested election. So that still does leave 1 vacancy on the council, and we would, welcome anybody who has an interest in that position to come forward in due course.
Fabulous.
Great. Well, I think that completes tonight's meeting. There is no part B this evening, so thank you very much, everybody, for today.
Thank you
Cheers,
very
everyone.
much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye,
Yeah.
Colin.
Yeah.
Colin.
Let's just put a thing in the diary, Simon.
Okay.
I thought- Oh, I thought I was doing them next month.
I think if you just sign off as normal, Colin.
Oh, you sure? Okay, fine.
No,
Sorry.
Because you can't do half of them because it's school ones. So
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem.
Sure, with the ones that can do.
Okay.
Okay.
okay,
Bye.
your dongle you can just destroy.
Sure.
I don't
problem.
need it back.
Okay, cool. So when's my last official day?
It will be on the 5th of May.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you'll need to deactivate my Teams login, won't you?
Yeah.
SharePoint.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe there's only 6 of us. Maybe we could meet in the Red Lion for a pint and a farewell drink beforehand.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
See how everyone else feels and arrange that. They've got some nice beer garden in the Red Lion.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Right.
Great.
See you
Game on.
soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.